Next, let's talk about the overall course structure that we will follow this semester. But before I do that, I do want to make a few comments. First of all, um, I've been incorporating online components into my courses now for over 20 years. And as you will see in this course structure here, there's going to be a lot of online components. I've taught courses that are simply what's often referred to as web enhanced, and I've taught fully online courses as well. My favorite format is a hybrid format, and that's what I've tried to somewhat duplicate here in our Stat 801 course. Obviously, some components we can't really do it that way because of COVID-19 and various restrictions that we have. But I think overall what we will have here is a good environment for you to learn. The second thing I want to mention is that you'll notice that my Word course notes that I have available are done in a large font. It's a size 20 font. And the reason why I do that is because no matter what room I would teach in, if I'm teaching in person, students will be able to see the notes without any problems at all. So since I use such a large font, though, if you choose to, let's say, print off my notes, I recommend that you don't print them essentially like one page in Word per sheet of paper. Rather, what I recommend that you do is you print them basically 4 pages in Word to 1 page of 1 sheet of paper, that is. And lastly, I want to mention, and I forgot to mention this for the syllabus, is that please call me Chris. Don't call me Dr. Builder. Please call me Chris. Once I first became a professor about 20 years ago, I always decided to, at that time and still today, ask students to call me Chris. And the reason being is because putting that doctor in front of the last name can be somewhat intimidating at times. And so I ask you to please call me Chris. Okay, so let's talk about the course structure here. Let me get my mouse. I have multiple monitors that I work with, and sometimes it's hard to find where my mouse is. Okay, so here's what a regular week of coursework or classes will look like for us. On Mondays, let me get my red pen out too. Oops. There we go. On Mondays, we will have in-person labs in Hardin Room 49. This is in the basement of the north wing of the building. Do note, though, August 17th, we will not have an in-person meeting. In fact, the lab is totally canceled because it doesn't really make sense to have a lab for a course before you actually have the first regular class for the course, which would be August 18th for us. On August 24th, there is not an actual in-person lab as well. Rather, I do have a set of notes and videos for you to go over, which are an introduction to R. These are things that I put together myself. Now, we have a complication with meeting in Hardin 49. And that complication is that the seating capacity in that room has been reduced from 48 to 24. Actually, originally, towards the beginning of the summer, when UNL Facilities was going around to all the classrooms, they had actually reduced the seating capacity for this particular room to 12. But fortunately, with some rearrangement of desks and stuff, we got it up to 24. Now, what makes this then difficult for us is that the enrollment limit for these lab sections are 35. And the first session or section at 2:30 is already over 24. The second section is, at least when I'm recording this right now, is just a little bit under 24. So because of that, not all students will be able to actually come to the lab every day. Unfortunately, they will need to attend through Zoom or watch a corresponding recording of what appeared in the lab. I'm sorry that has occurred, but this is unfortunately beyond my control. Now, I will need to decide which students can attend the lab on which days. To help me do that, I've constructed a quiz/survey that we will talk about later that will let me know more about your ability to actually attend in person and stuff like that. And that will be explained a little bit later in this video. Okay, so Mondays, labs. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we will not meet in person at all. On Tuesday specifically, there will be a set of course notes and videos for you to examine for that corresponds to the regular course content that will be done normally on a Tuesday and a Thursday of a regular class. These course notes I put together, they're all nicely typed up. And these videos are videos of me going through these notes. I do expect you to watch all parts of the videos. I expect you to go through all parts of the course notes. What I recommend that you do is that you watch the videos with a copy of the course notes with you, either an electronic copy or a paper copy. And as I go through these videos, or go through the content in the videos, you take notes on these actual word course notes that I've prepared. Now, what we will do on Tuesdays, though, is that we will have Zoom meetings at the regular class time. So for all students, I will have a Zoom meeting. During this meeting, we will have a Q&A session on these course notes and videos. So you need to be prepared to ask questions if you have them about the content that's covered in these course notes and the videos. If possible, actually post your questions to the corresponding message board, which I will show you shortly, the corresponding message board for our course. Otherwise, you can ask these questions via the chat facility within inside of Zoom. And then if needed, I will open up a mic at times so that you can actually ask me verbally. Also, during these Zoom meetings, I will discuss various graded items like projects, maybe like, for example, go over a project so that you can get started on it. I will do other materials, such as maybe do additional examples during the Zoom meeting, do like test reviews and stuff like that. And lastly, in these Zoom meetings, what I will do is briefly discuss what's next in terms of for our next Zoom meeting, what you need to have done before we actually meet. Now, as you notice here in red and in bold and in highlighted, as you might imagine, because I've done that, this next part is really important. And that is, you need to go over these notes that I have prepared for you and watch the videos prior to our Zoom meeting class. Doing this Zoom meeting like this is not going to work very well if you are unprepared. Also, with these Zoom meetings, I plan to record them. As you might imagine, whenever you're recording something live, sometimes it might not work out. Maybe, for example, the recording was lost or something like that. But generally speaking, this will work out. I will have the recordings available to you. Now, after we conclude our Zoom meeting, I will have office hours for 1 hour. And this is, again, if you need to communicate with me individually, this is the time to do it. I kind of think of this as the time that you would have, let's say, after our normal in-person class, where you would go up to where the instructor is and you ask him or her questions. So that this would be a great time for that. If, though, you do need some privacy in talking with me, I do have a way, as you've probably already seen with Zoom meetings, to have a waiting room so I can put everyone else who's waiting to talk to me in a waiting room. Excuse me. And then I can talk to you individually. Now, as a way to evaluate your understanding of the material that's in the notes and also in the videos, and also as a way to make sure that you are keeping up with the material so that you're not getting behind, there will be a quiz, an online quiz available through Canvas, and I'll show you an example of one shortly, that will be due at 5 p.m. that Tuesday. So this is why why you need to be prepared when you come to this Zoom meeting on Tuesdays with any questions that you may have, so that when you do take that quiz, and if you're taking it, let's say, right after class, and before 5 o'clock, of course, that you can actually complete this quiz without any problems. This quiz is meant to be low stakes. It will be worth just a few points overall each, and I plan to do this each week. But it will allow me to evaluate, and for you to evaluate, your understanding of the material. Obviously, this quiz is not going to be able to get at all the material that you need to know from the course notes and the videos, but only basically a small subset of the material. Okay, so that's Tuesdays. So again, Tuesdays, we don't meet in the regular classroom. We have a Zoom meeting instead. That's basically a Q&A session plus other stuff. And then also you'll have a quiz that's going to be due by 5 p.m. This quiz is going to be available on Canvas. Then on Thursdays, we will not have any in-person class meetings. During the regular class time, I will be available via Zoom for office hours. And again, there will be a waiting room associated with that. And then lastly, on Fridays, the TA for the course, Ved, will be having his office hours as well. In both for my office hours and Ved's office hours, again, they're via Zoom. Links to these Zoom meeting rooms are available in the announcements portion of the Canvas portion of our course website. I'll show you where they are shortly. Okay, so Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays we have stuff for you for Stat 801. Now, sometimes during the week for a Stat 801 class, on Mondays, during lab time, that's when we will take the exams. The reason why I do it on Mondays is, first of all, again, due to seating capacity restrictions, at most only half the students would be able to get into our regular 801 room. And so by having it during the lab time, more students can take the actual exam in person. However, really the main reason why I have exams during the lab time, and I do this other times I teach Stat 801, is because it gives you an extended amount of time to take the tests. Normally it would be an hour and 15 for a regular class session. Here it's an hour and 50 minutes. And this is especially important because these exams will be done interactively using a computer. You will actually be using R to complete the exam. What I will be doing is I will give you a Word file at the beginning of the exam, or Ved will be doing that as well. And in this Word file, you'll need to type your actual answers to test questions. You need to maybe copy and paste some R code and output into the Word document that has the test in it. And then what you do is you complete the test, and then you upload it via Canvas so that Ved and I can actually grade these tests. Once we get closer to tests, I'll give you more details. But again, Mondays during the lab sessions, that's when we will have our regular tests. And unfortunately, because we do have these seating capacity restrictions, not all students will be able to take the test in person. Some will have to take it remotely. And the exact details behind how we're going to do that are still being determined at the time as I am actually putting together this video. Hopefully I will have more details about that as the semester begins. Now on Thursdays, that's typically when we will have our projects that we will be completing the semester due. They will be due at 5 p.m. Again, you'll be able to upload those via Canvas. Once we get to projects, I'll give you more details about that. Lastly, a few things here. As you can see in red, bold, and highlighted in yellow, this must be important, and that is adjustments may need to be made during the semester due to COVID-19. I usually like to use the exact same format throughout the whole semester, but for those of you who are, let's say, taking courses at UNL last spring, you saw that a lot of adjustments need to be made on the fly. I wouldn't be surprised if some of those kinds of adjustments will be needed this semester. So please be aware of that. Okay, let's next take a look at the course website that we have. Okay, so if you go to chrisbiller.com, you get to my main overall website. Here you'll find information about the courses that I teach, my research, and you can even see some tweets that I've done as well. If I come over here to Stat 801, we get to the actual course website for us. Alternatively, you can just go chrisbiller.com/stat801. And if you notice towards the top here, we have like a menu bar. We go to graded. You'll have links here to projects that we will do this semester, corresponding data sets for them, and eventually I will post answer keys as well. You'll have links to tests and also for the final exam too. Let's go to the section materials. Here's where I put my course notes, links to corresponding videos covering those course notes, and a whole lot of other information. So for example, right now we are doing section 1. I've broken up our course into various sections that somewhat correspond to chapters in our book. And so for section 1, we've already went over the syllabus, and once I actually upload the video to the server, you'll have a link to the corresponding video as well. Right now we're doing the course structure notes, and then after this you need to look at or examine the introduction to what we're doing this semester notes, and there will be a video there when it's available. There is no corresponding lab to section 1, so that's why you see lab none. If I page down a little bit, we get to section 2, which is entitled Summarizing Data. And in this particular section, I've broken up the course notes into 2 different components: numerical summary, graphical summary. There will be videos corresponding to the actual content that's available there that you do need to watch. And then there's a number of data sets that we will be examining in those corresponding course notes as well. You can download them here. There will be corresponding homework problems that, generally speaking, come from our book. You can download the homework problems from here. Also, we have corresponding partial answers to these problems. And with any section that we do in terms of homework, you're expected to reproduce the examples that are in the main course notes. There isn't a direct lab corresponding to the section 2 materials. Instead, there's going to be an introduction to R. Those corresponding notes, videos, and other content is located at the very bottom of this web page. And then lastly, there's going to be a lot of our programs that we do through the semester, and here are 5 programs corresponding to the material that's in our notes there. Okay, and so you can look through this on your own, but each section is organized in a very similar manner. If we click on schedule, then we have a schedule outlining a lot of the stuff that I talked about in that previous Word document for course structure. So for example, week 1, we have a number of videos for you to watch corresponding to section 1. Those, again, will be linked on the section materials webpage. And then on Canvas, by Thursday, August 20th, you need to complete a quiz/survey. You need to complete that by 5 p.m. I'll show you that quiz survey shortly. Then week number 2. For the lab, we will not meet in person. Instead, there's corresponding videos for it, and the content is covered in the introduction to R material. That's located again on the section materials webpage of the course website. Now, our first live meeting, will be on Tuesday, August 25th. We will meet via Zoom. We will have a question and answer session over sections 1 and 2. We will start talking about project number 1. We might do a particular example dealing with golf balls. I might change that out or remove the example. We'll see. And then also we'll talk about, well, what's next in terms of for week 3, what you need to do. Then August 25th on Canvas, so that's still the Tuesday, there is a quiz that you need to complete by 5 p.m. And as you page through here, you can get a general idea that we follow the same kind of format throughout the semester for each week. Do note that our first test is scheduled for September 21st. That again is in the lab, and that will be test number 1, or I guess I put exam number 1 there instead. And overall, we can go all the way down to the end semester. Now, just realize that this the schedule that I've put out there is tentative. It is subject to change, but I will really try to keep the days for the tests that I've indicated on the schedule. I like to keep them on those days that have been scheduled. The only thing that I foresee would make us change is, let's say, if the university closed down for a particular period of time. Okay, now if we come over here to the Canvas part here, we have a direct link to Canvas, but also just to help make sure you understand my course website versus what's available on Canvas, what to use, what for which. Canvas will be used for a message board, quizzes, turning in graded items, and checking final course grades. I like to create my own course websites because I think it's a lot easier to manage, but there are some things that are simply easier to do in Canvas if it requires something that you are doing yourself, such as checking your final course grades. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Canvas website. So you can log in to Canvas using your student ID and your corresponding password. And if you click to Stat 801, you'll get to this web page here. If you click on Announcements, you will get to a few corresponding announcements. And I won't really be posting anything else there during the semester. But the main thing that you need to realize what's in the announcements is that you'll have links to the Zoom address that we will be meeting this semester for office hours and also for live meetings. I don't want to show that address here in the video because this video is going to be made public, and so people outside of our class could actually see what that address is and bomb our meetings. We don't want that to happen. Let's take a look at our message board. This is located under Discussions. And this is where you can add a post to the message board by clicking on Discussion there. I've already posted one item here and pinned it to the top. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. And the purpose of this posting is just to explain what this message board is being used for. And so let me just highlight some of the important items in this message. Please feel free to post messages here regarding questions on graded work and other things relevant to the course. So if you have a question about a homework problem, if you have a question about how to do something on a project, if you have a question about is certain material going to be on the tests, post that message here. Do not email that to me. Post it here. If, though, you have a question about your own grade, or you're going to be absent from our class meeting, or similar items that's really individual to you and that other students might not really care if you're not going to be able to attend the class, for example, then you can email that to me. But if you're ever unsure about whether to post a message to this message board or send me an email, ask yourself, will other students benefit from seeing the message? If the answer is yes, post the message to the message board. So this is, again, especially relevant. Like, let's say if we're doing something on a project, you don't understand how to do it, you have questions about it, post it to the message board. Because if you have that question, probably somebody else in the class also has that question, and thus the whole class will be able to benefit through your question and seeing my response or Ved's response to it. Now you can also use the message board to post messages just for other students to respond to. In the past, students have posted messages such as, does anyone need another group member? Or did anyone get the answer to problem number such and such? Okay. Now, let's take a look at quizzes here. Now, we have our first quiz posted here. Let's actually take a look at it. And here's the directions. I call it a quiz, but it's actually more of a survey. Answer the following questions. The listed points given per problem are actually incorrect for this particular quiz. If all questions are answered, the student will receive 5 out of 5 points simply. The quiz is due Thursday, August 20th by 5 p.m. So let's go ahead and click on it. And we have just the typical questions that you have the first day of any course that where perhaps an instructor will have you fill out a piece of paper and then hand it in at the end of the class. I just always do these electronically. So first of all here, just give me your name, give me your email address, tell me what you're majoring in, tell me what degree you're pursuing, tell me what stat courses you've taken in the past. It doesn't have to be from a Department of Statistics though. This stuff, and you're going to see some other questions coming up, are very important because it will help me understand what your background is. Also will help me and future people who teach Stat 801, either myself or others, better gear the class to those students who are taking the class. So please take the time, tell me what courses you've taken, either if they're at UNL or someplace else. Question number 6. Have you taken at least one course on calculus? If so, please describe it. So, statistics is interesting in terms of very often at the most introductory level, we don't teach introductory statistics with using calculus, despite calculus as being an underpinning of a lot of the stuff that we do in statistics. I don't know, I guess it's kind of odd. And so I really want you to make sure that you do answer this question about the calculus aspect, because again, this will help me understand your background. There will be times during the semester where I will actually explain the calculus aspect of something, but you will never be required to you never will be graded on your understanding of it. I will put the calculus parts into some aspects of the course simply because I know there's going to be a lot of students who have a calculus background. Question number 7, do you have any experience with R? Again, experience with R is not a prerequisite for this course. We will be very introductory at the beginning of the course with understanding it, but there will be a significant amount of R coding that you will have to do for this course. And again, for tests, you will actually need to write some R code yourself to complete various problems. Question number 8. After Stat 801, do you plan to take another course from the Department of Statistics? If so, what course? Again, this just helps us understand what's next, essentially, for students who take this particular course. Question 9 and additional questions are about the lab sections. Again, as I've told you, we don't have enough room in our classroom for all the students who are registered for it. And so I'm going to need to make some adjustments about who can attend a particular lab section in person. And this information here is going to help me do that. So first of all, which lab section are you registered for? Would it be possible for you to attend in person the other lab section? Sometimes. Question 11, would you prefer to attend all lab sessions via Zoom, excluding obviously our in-person tests? And then the last question then, this outside now dealing with the lab aspect, is just tell me where you're from. As I mentioned, I'm from Omaha. I'm from the Millard area there. Actually, I went to Millard South High School, if you're by chance familiar with that. And I'm interested to know where you're from. So once you're done with that, click on Submit Quiz. There will be a verification here that you've actually done this. And this is due by 5 p.m. on Thursday, August, I believe it's 18th. Let me just double check. I'm sorry, Thursday, August 20th. Okay, please get that done. Okay, let me take a look at my notes here to make sure I've covered everything that I wanted to. Give me 1 second. Okay, I just want to emphasize, I think I've discussed this, but I do want to emphasize this. You know, the way to prepare for this course is, if I go over here to section materials, is prior to each live Zoom meeting on Tuesdays, you have, this is now, let's say for section 2, gone over the corresponding course notes at the same time as you've watched the corresponding videos. You've taken your own notes, perhaps on top of the course notes, either electronically or through writing. You've also reproduced all the examples that are in the course lecture notes as well. Here are the corresponding R programs that will help you do that. I do have the R code that's actually embedded in the course notes too. Also complete the corresponding homework and check your answers with these partial answers. If there are questions about homework problems, please ask those during the lab section. So that means you may need to fully complete going through a lot of this stuff before the actual lab takes place. Okay, so that concludes then this subsection on the course structure. If you have any questions, please feel free to start posting them to the message board, or you can wait until our first regular old Zoom meeting. So that's it for this set of notes.